What's going on, King Real TV, back with another reaction. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe to his channel. We almost at 1,000 subs. We get to 1,000 subs, I'm gonna buy one of the somebody a Larry Bird jersey down in the comments. But you're gonna have to DM me and shit like that. I'm gonna drop a link to my Facebook in the comments. But let me know what y'all been thinking about the Larry Bird courtship of rivals, Magic Johnson. In the last episode, I see they saved the game. So I can't remember which part this is right here. So I'm gonna go back just maybe like a minute or two. Yeah, I'm gonna go like right there. So yeah, they saved the NBA or whatever, called them the Great White Hope and stuff like that. I think it was past that part, but very interesting. And Larry Bird gets way more respect from me. As y'all see from like a week or two ago, I didn't really respect Larry Bird. I respected him, but he just wasn't high on my totem pole. He is like down. But after seeing some stuff, hearing you know what they saying about him, he bumped all the way up. I tell you that much. So without further ado, let's get back into it.
Their own dramatic saga.
You got this slick Showtime African-American guy out west, and you got the lunch bucket, floppy-haired white guy with the bruises all over his body. It's central casting. It's perfect.
I mean, this was like made
Hope it's
in
loud
heaven.
enough.
In 1979, this idea of Magic and Bird was created, and so that was sort of a no-brainer. We'd have a doubleheader. It would be the Celtics playing first, and the Lakers playing second, and that's the way we did it.
And when the Celtics and Lakers both reached the finals just a year into the new TV deal in 1984, it appeared the superstar investment was about to pay off.
That was smart.
It was probably the biggest moment the NBA had up to that point. You had Boston and LA, East against West. It had all the elements of
Tupac
a
and Biggie.
showdown.
Including what was becoming the most inescapable element of all.
Did we know that blacks and whites were lining up? The whites with the Celtics, the blacks with... Of course we knew that.
Even in the Celtics' own backyard.
They land at Logan Airport at the '84 finals. He's getting accosted by various people who were telling him Larry's going to take him down. But this one older African-American gentleman comes up to me and goes, "Magic, I want to wish you well. Good luck. I want you to crush the Celtics." And he said, "Oh, well, where are you from?" He said, "Well, I'm from Boston." And he said, "You're from Boston and you're rooting for the Lakers? I thought everybody here was crazy about the Celtics." And he looked right at me and said, "Now, why would I root for those white boys?"
Ah.
Boston,
What did he
after
just
all,
say?
was a town still scarred by the ugly busing crisis of the mid-'70s.
The Celtics. And he said, "Oh, well, where are you from?" He said, "Well, I'm from Boston."
Bro, it's always so funny hearing people like white people say the N-word. I don't know why. I mean, I don't care about
I
it.
thought everybody
so.
here was crazy about the Celtics, and he looked right at me and said, "Now, why would I root for those white boys?"
Boston, after all, was
Damn.
a town still scarred by the ugly busing crisis of the mid-'70s. A violent period of urban unrest during which white had been pitted against black. The resulting taint on the city
Is
nationally,
Boston racist?
coupled with a Boston roster littered with white players, affirmed to many black
Wait, did
Americans
they have a black
the
player? They had,
Celtics were
what's
not
his
the team
name?
for them.
Robert Parrish, didn't they?
Even today, people said,
And him?
you played with the Celtics, and you know, I hated you at that time. You know, I wanted Magic to win. I didn't want that damn Larry Bird to win. We had all these black players, but they looked at us because we had Larry Bird leading us as a team that was white.
They were perfect archetypes for what was becoming the biggest story in sports. But for the real-life players, the narrative was much simpler.
It's finally going to happen. We get to go head-to-head again. It's just a
On
matter
the
of
biggest
rolling that
stage.
ball out there and let's get it on.
Welcome then to the Boston Garden and the start of the NBA World Championship Series. I'm Brent Musburger. In each of the last 4 NBA World Championship Series, either Magic or Bird has competed. But this is the first time that the two have gone head-to-head for the title.
Man, that's crazy. National championship, now they in the NBA finals.
Man, we jumped out on them that first game, and we won in Boston.
And with less than a minute to go in Game 2, the Lakers were closing in on a commanding series lead.
He should have just held that.
From that point on, things began to crumble.
Bro, y'all gotta let me know, how was it back then around this time, bro? Well, like, was it turned up watching this shit? Was it turned like it is now? Cause now it's like it don't really be turned, you know. People just be, I think betting messed up sports today, and the NBA did get soft. But let me know how it was back then. Like, what was the atmosphere like in at the games, in the living room, or at the bars, wherever y'all watch the game at?
Down to 9 seconds. Magic holding the ball. Magic trying to work on Maxwell. Magic has still got it down to 2 seconds. 1 second. He's going to have to shoot it. He doesn't get it off. He doesn't get it off.
Magic was just dribbling.
Cheesy Johnson dribbling the timeout. What are you doing?
The Lakers regained their stride in Game 3, only to be rudely knocked off it again in Game 4.
Big Kurt Rambis.
When Kurt Rambis got taken out, we started fighting instead of playing.
Swings the elbow, and now
Ooh. Larry Bird was scared of none.
And it made us realize we were not mentally tougher than the Celtics.
Magic's just not himself.
Be sure they won't let the time run out as they did in Game 2. Harris steals the ball, and the Celtics call a timeout.
There were a number of places where,
Dang,
Irving
man.
didn't do what people expected him to do.
Tied at 123.
Brick.
He misses the first.
Brick.
Johnson misses them both. Celtics want a timeout. Despondent, Magic Johnson goes to the bench. Bird turns and hits.
Ha ha ha.
Game 5 went to the Celtics. Game 6 to the Lakers. It was like 1979 all over again.
Uh-oh.
Down to 1 game for Bird and Magic.
This where y'all gotta let me know.
Okay, probably would have said this is going to be a 7-game series.
I thought we'd sweep them in 4, but just went a little bit longer. Now we just have to do it in 7.
He talking crazy.
That's the only time I ever felt that. There ain't no way they're walking out here with a win.
Magic Johnson.
No way.
Lakers had several chances, and here's Larry Bird shucking down the clock.
Good pass.
Bird. How does he do it? Johnson with the ball. The Lakers trying to cut it to 1. And he loses it.
Bro, what? Magic so.
The Boston Celtics are the NBA World Champions.
Play like
Pride
crap.
myself in being the guy who's going to win it for us and deliver under pressure. And it didn't happen.
I hope he was hurt. Hope it killed him. He made some bad plays down the stretch, and nobody in there was happier than me. You know, not only winning the game makes you feel good, but just knowing the other guy's suffering, and you know he was.
I remember after the game that both he and I were in the showers crying.
Mm.
Stayed in there for about 35, 40 minutes. It was hard because not only had we lost to the Boston Celtics, he had lost to his nemesis, Larry Bird.
Killed them.
I think he just made me dislike him more, you know, because he was that good. And I think you be jealous. You jealous a little bit.
Larry, does this get you even with Magic for what happened between Michigan State and Indiana State all those many years ago?
Yeah, we're professionals now, but I won this one for Terre Haute.
Well, it was a big deal, and I remember asking Quinn Buckner about it afterwards. They had a celebration in downtown Boston after they won the championship, and, you know, it was unusual for Larry to have these little outbursts, as Quinn would call them. But, you know, about 11:30 at night, finally he turned to Quinn, he goes, I got him. I finally got him. And he was talking about Magic.
He was turned, he beat Magic.
The league was rejoicing too. Game 7 of the '84 series was one of CBS's highest-rated telecasts of the year, the highest-rated game the NBA had ever produced.
All of a sudden, whether it was at CBS or Madison Avenue, the sports writers around
Just like that. How was it?
Phenomenal. What is happening here? The absolute foundation in this resurgence was the Celtics and the Lakers, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson.
But Magic was in no mood to bask in the accomplishment.
I took a media beating. Tragic Magic. This is why we say Larry Bird is better.
Tragic
It's
Johnson.
probably the first time ever in my life I was depressed. And I didn't want people to see me. It was something I never dealt with in my life.
That particular series, that championship series, redefined his whole career because he never stopped working after that.
Magic was on a mission to prove to himself
Yeah,
and the world
he turned back
that
up.
in his hands, he was still the one in control. And after his Lakers ran through the '85 season, he quickly got what he wanted. Another shot at Bird and the Celtics.
They won the East, we won the West. So it's like everybody just get ready, sit back, and let's enjoy it.
That fake
smile
laugh.
belied the intensity of the clash that awaited.
If I had a glass of water and any of those guys had been on fire, I would drink the water and watch them.
Damn, it was that.
They
It was
called
smoke
us,
like that.
you know, chokers and sissies. You know, we didn't like that, and they thought less of us. I knew they did.
In '85, we played them 4 times in exhibition season for some reason. I don't know why they scheduled that. By the 4th game, there was an all-out brawl.
They call this one of the
Who's
greatest
that, Danny
rivalries
Ainge?
in all of sport, the Celtics, the Lakers. And if that is true, it is the most one-sided rivalry in all of sports. 8 times these two have met for the NBA championship, and 8 times the Celtics have won.
Crazy.
In his 6th year from Michigan State, and number 32, Magic Johnson.
But in the '85 finals, Magic changed the script. Over 6
So
grueling
dumb.
games, he masterfully controlled the pace with all-around brilliance.
He has a triple-double again.
Behind their point guard, the Lakers finally knocked out the Celtics,
Ooh.
winning the clinching game in the Boston Garden.
3 in 6 years. LA comes to Boston and wins the world title.
On their floor.
Redemption for one Magic Johnson. It's a long year last year to wait for this moment right now.
Magic had evened the score with Bird on the NBA floor. But the significance of their rivalry and their relationship was still just taking hold.
That's crazy.
You crazy. I said, you crazy. I'm not shooting a commercial with Larry. So I said, okay, what, we're gonna shoot it in LA?
It's only right.
Never went to LA to film it.
Well, where are we gonna shoot it?
French lick.
If you want to shoot a commercial, come to my house.
I was like, oh no. One stoplight. And I thought Lansing was small. I think the plan was I'm gonna go here.
That place
what
look.
I'm supposed to do, and I'm trying to get up out of here. My plan was that.
Even after Converse had convinced Magic and Bird to film a sneaker ad together in the summer of '85, a question remained. How would the two hated rivals on the court get along off of it?
I don't know how he's gonna react. I don't know how I'm gonna react. We didn't even shake hands, so how are we gonna do a commercial together?
The ad was to be filmed at the home Bird had built for his mom. It featured a
Bird.
full-length basketball court, the day's first location.
So they say, okay, you're playing one-on-one, and I'm looking at Larry, and he's looking at me like, is this real? Are we playing? Because, you know, this is Magic and Bird.
I could just hear Larry, starting in on, well, you bring it to the basket, and I'm going to send it 30 rows up.
So the guy was like, no, not like that. A fun game. We were both like, oh, okay. Like, like you can see this relief coming over both our faces.
Them boys
That
trying to
brief
get to it.
détente led to the next stage, dialogue.
We sat down next to each other. How was your summer? Oh, it's going good. How was yours? It's going great. I said, man, it's a nice spread you got.
And he's asked me, is this where you play? I said, yeah, I'd play here if it's not windy. If it's raining or windy, I go to the gym. But this is where I do all my work.
I see that tractor. You work on the tractor? I said, man, I work on this tractor every day.
Dang.
Larry Bird work on a tractor? He said, yeah.
It's just them two walking and talking.
He in a whole Lakers outfit though.
Say something, and then they'd start laughing.
Then they said, okay, break, it's lunch break time. I was going to my trailer. He said, no, my mother has prepared lunch for us up at the house.
We went up to the house
They
and we
lit.
sat there and we talked. And my mom, my brothers thought the world of it.
His mother was so nice, making sure I had enough to eat. I just saw my mother. It was crazy.
He charmed her. You can see it. But that's Magic. He makes everybody feel welcome and warm, and he's a con man.
Talking about he a con man.
And while Magic charmed Georgia Bird, it was someone else who intrigued her son.
He met Irvin at lunch.
Irvin is a good dude. I like Irvin a lot better than Magic.
I was just so happy to finally be Irvin with him because Magic was like, I don't know if I want to get to know this guy. But Irvin got a chance to talk about family. I grew up.
They reconciled.
We just became
I
two
guess that's how you
nice
say that
guys,
word.
Just talking.
That day was great. It was a great day. Beautiful day.
Still, for Bird, ever the competitor, that's all it was. Just one day.
Magic thinks the next year, okay, well now we're great friends, so, you know, after the game, we're going to go out, we're going to have a beer, and Larry's like, no.
Don't worry
You're right.
about it.
I know you better, you're a good guy, but I still don't want anything to do with you.
He's a happy-go-lucky guy. If me and him got to be really good friends, go out on the court, he could still play the same game I couldn't. And that's just the way it is.
But when the ad hit the airwaves,
I'm sure like for the commercial.
perception changed.
I saw those limousines going through the cornfields, and I said, no. They didn't sell themselves out.
I heard Converse made a pair of Bird shoes for last year's MVP. Yep. But they made a pair of Magic shoes for this year's MVP. Okay, Magic, show me what you got.
Well, this is really a business thing.
The Bird shoe.
Bro.
The Magic shoe.
I know they,
That's where the business
bro.
thing started to get
I know people back in the day thought that commercial was the shit.
bigger and began to trump who they both really were.
It polarized the whole idea of lunch bucket versus Hollywood, white versus black. Just cemented all the differences between them.
Kids weren't wearing black gym shoes because they didn't want to be associated with the Larry Bird camp. You wore your white Converse.
Crazy.
The basketball rivals had morphed into cultural warriors, and race, more than ever, had become an unavoidable part of the conversation.
Yo!
But nothing about Bird and Magic had ever been as simple as
Damn. He's taller than
This
yeah, well,
rivalry
yeah.
became so emblematic of so many things is because it was an easy dichotomy for people to understand. But it's crazy to simplify it as saying white people like Bird and black people like Magic because 13% of the country is black. It wasn't like 87% of basketball fans preferred the Celtics.
Who's your favorite basketball player? Magic Johnson. Who's your favorite movie star? Eddie Murphy. Pino, all you ever talk about is nigga this and nigga that. All your favorite people are so-called niggas. It's different. Magic, Eddie, Prince are not niggas. I mean, they're not black. I mean, let me explain myself.
Has the N-word ever been used by a white person to describe Irvin? I doubt it.
But as Magic enjoyed his image as a crossover star, it was Bird, the one-time great white hope, who had further emerged
That
as
is
the
sweater
polarizing
hard.
racial figure, due in part to that era's increasingly conservative political climate.
The rolling back institutionally of the achievements of the civil rights movement were going on apace from about 1975 on. But the triumph of the movement that rolled back took place in the 1980s. And I think there was
I don't get
very
into all that
black
race shit.
community of what was going
I don't
on.
really care about that.
And I think there was a lot of sublimated frustration. And I think one of the ways it got sublimated was into basketball. And I think Larry, through no fault of his own, was the receptacle within which the lingering resentments somehow floated.
And after Bird led the Celtics to the championship in 1986, his third in the pros, winning his third straight MVP award in the process, the resentment grew.
I always felt that the press was biased in
He's the
favor
best player
of
ever.
Larry Bird. It always
I
felt
ain't,
to me
bro.
like they were gonna make Larry.
I did not know people thought of Larry Bird in this light until I started watching videos about him. I'll never hear nobody talk about Larry Bird.
Larry, the hero. You know, you'd see somebody score, and Larry would be in a cast in a suit on the bench, and they'd say, Larry Bird made that possible a couple weeks ago when he told that guy he could do it, and he just did it. And they gonna get his motherfucker the assist, and he not in the game?
Not to be racist, but we have a white guy who's the best in the world. It's predominantly a black sport now, and you got a guy like Larry Bird who can't run, who can't jump, but can do everything out there.
That don't mean nothing to me. It don't mean anything to me. It never has. I don't know why. I mean, am I doing something wrong here?
Bird may have sought to avoid the conversation entirely. The more he won, the less he could escape it.
Yeah.
Now there's a steal by Bird. Underneath the DJ, lays it in. What a play by Bird.
In 1987, after Boston beat the Detroit Pistons to advance to the finals for the 4th straight year, Pistons rookie Dennis Rodman called Bird overrated because he was white.
Who?
His teammate Isaiah Thomas then chimed in with some thoughts of his own.
I think Larry is a very, very good basketball player. I think he's an exceptional talent. But I'd have to agree with Rodman. If he was black, he'd be just another good guy.
Bro, Isaiah Thomas. Bro, as good as Isaiah Thomas was, bro, it just sound like he be hating in a lot of stuff that he be saying now.
I can remember in the locker room, I think it was Jack McMullen came up to me and said, Isaiah just said, boom, 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 boom. And I go, so?
He didn't care. He didn't care. Everybody else around him
Came to my
cared
night out, so.
very deeply in the days and weeks as it turned out ahead.
I mean, the media made it out like it was something. But it didn't matter to me what Isaiah or Dennis Rodman said. And it still don't. It has no bearing on what I do in my life.
He doesn't see race. He really doesn't. And he could have.
Easily could
This guy
have.
grew up poor, white, in southern Indiana. Southern Indiana, the home, by the way, of the modern Ku Klux Klan. How he managed not to be affected by the cultural milieu that he grew up in is, I think, a miracle. To me, it's inexplicable.
When I was in about 6th or 7th grade, I couldn't wait till school to be over because I knew over on the courts, the waiters from the hotel would be over there. They were black, older, and they let me play. You know, I always looked at that as I got an opportunity to play against a black man, and they treated me good. I couldn't wait to play against the best, and at that time, they were the best.
And in 1987,
But
as Bird vied with Magic to be the best, the flap over Isaiah Thomas's racially fueled remarks forced Bird to address his least favorite topic at the worst possible time.
I had to go to a press conference when I was in LA trying to get ready to play the Lakers and tell people I didn't care. This don't bother me.
The main thing is that if the statements or whatever was said doesn't bother me, I don't think it should bother any of us.
From playing all year trying to get back to the finals and play against Magic, this was a distraction.
Bird was facing off against Magic for the 3rd time in 4 years. And if their relationship had softened, the determination to beat each other had not.
Look at Magic.
As Game 4 proved, the level of competition between them was higher than ever.
Bird played awesome down the stretch of that game.
Trailing 2-1 in the series, the Celtics were down by 1 point in the final minute of the game. But Larry Bird wouldn't be easily vanquished.
Open his aim. Bird goes for 3.
Fuck it.
With 7 seconds left, though, the Lakers still had life.
Is this when he hit the
3
hook
years earlier
shot?
in the '84 finals, Magic had flubbed a similar situation. But this was a different Magic, one with a whole new bag of tricks.
My man switched to Kareem, and Kevin McHale jumped out to me. As soon as I saw Kevin, I said, oh, I'm taking it.
Oh, me.
You know, Magic puts it on the floor, a couple head and shoulder fakes, and he raised up in the air. And there was nobody that was going to get that shot.
Magic with a hook shot. Scores
crazy. Look at him. He hit Kareem move.
I remember after they called timeout thinking, there's still a shot here. Celtics may still win this game.
Well, they set up a great play. Bird walked Worthy all the way up, forced the denial all the way up.
We've done it before. Clear everybody out, go to the ball, and break the corner.
He caught it here.
Did he make that?
He caught it. All he had to do was turn.
I'm starting to get chills.
Just turn, and he just let this thing go.
Bird fires it.
Got a wide open look. Couldn't believe it.
And I'm standing right there. It is straight as an arrow.
Dead on.
And the Lakers have won.
We're lucky because it's right on line.
He looked at me like, how did you ever leave me that wide open?
You gotta be kidding me. Changed the whole series.
The Lakers won the series in 6.
Mm.
In the aftermath of a year in which Magic had won his first MVP, the rivalry suddenly took on a new tone.
Magic's just a great basketball player. He's the best I've ever seen, you know. Unbelievable. I don't know what to say.
I was shocked that he said it, because I thought to myself, maybe this is the beginning of a new era that's not going to include him. It was the passing of the torch a little bit.
After vanquishing Bird in '87, Magic wasn't done winning. The following year.
Alright, that's going to be enough for this episode. So the next episode, we're just going to ride it out. The last 23 or so minutes. So let me know what y'all think down in the comments, especially, and make sure y'all comment about the vibes that was going on back in these times around Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, all that. Let me know down in the comments, and make sure y'all sub to the channel, cause like I was looking at the thing, and 83% of y'all not subscribed. So make sure y'all subscribe to the channel.